August 2012. A man walks into one of London's most exclusive casinos carrying $1 million in cash. The staff recognize him instantly. Phil Ivey, poker royalty, one of the greatest minds the game has ever seen. They roll out the red carpet, offer him anything he wants. A private room, a Mandarin speaking dealer, specific playing cards, an automatic shuffler. To them, he's just another high roller chasing the thrill. But Phil Ivey isn't here for thrills. He's here to execute something far more brilliant, the greatest legal casino heist in history. Over the next 48 hours, Ivey and his mysterious partner will drain the casino for $12 million. No hacking, no marked cards, no cheating. Just a microscopic flaw in how the cards were printed. A flaw so subtle, the casino never saw it coming. And what they really don't know? For the past 9 months, he's been using this exact strategy to win over $20 million from casinos around the world. This is that story. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe for more stories like this. Phil Ivey wasn't just another poker player. He was a living legend. 10 World Series of poker bracelets. Over 30 million in tournament winnings. A reputation as one of the sharpest minds in gambling history. His opponents called him unreadable. His expression never wavered. His instincts were surgical. But even legends face limits. In 2011, the US government shut down online poker overnight, an event known as Black Friday. Millions of dollars in player funds were frozen. Sponsorship deals evaporated. The easy money dried up. Ivey was still one of the best in the world, but the landscape had changed. He needed a new edge. That's when he met Kelly Sun. Sun wasn't a poker pro. She was a high roller, the kind casinos loved. Private jets, 5-star suites, unlimited credit. Her father was a wealthy Chinese businessman, and money had never been a concern. But Sun had a problem. After a particularly brutal losing streak, she borrowed money from a casino to keep playing. When a friend she lent money to didn't pay her back, Sun couldn't repay the casino marker either. In Las Vegas, defaulting on a casino marker isn't just debt, it's fraud. Sun was arrested at the airport and thrown in jail for 3 weeks, much of it in solitary confinement. It was in that tiny cell, with nothing but a deck of cards to pass the time, that everything changed. Hour after hour, Sun shuffled those cards, and then she noticed something strange. The patterns on the backs weren't perfectly symmetrical. They were cut slightly off-center, just a fraction of an inch differently from card to card. It was almost invisible, but once she saw it, she couldn't unsee it. This wasn't just a printing defect. This was a flaw in the entire casino industry, one they didn't even realize existed. By paying attention to these tiny imperfections, Sun realized she could tell which cards were high value and which were low value without ever seeing their faces. If this flaw was consistent across casino decks, she could turn a game of pure chance into one of skill. She could beat the house. When she was released, Sun tested her theory. It worked, but there was a problem. She didn't have the clout to make casinos bend the rules for her anymore. Her discovery was powerful, but it needed the right player to unlock its full potential. That's when she approached Phil Ivey. Ivey had something she didn't: reputation. Casinos wanted him at their tables. He was known for betting millions, playing recklessly, taking insane risks. If he made special requests, the casino would listen, and that was the missing piece. Sun had the strategy. Ivey had the access. Together, they weren't just going to win, they were going to take casinos for millions. The strategy was called edge sorting, and to pull it off, they needed the casino to help them. Here's how it worked. Casino playing cards are supposed to be symmetrical, but manufacturing flaws mean the patterns on the backs are often cut slightly off-center. To most players, it's invisible. To Kelly Sun, it was everything. If she could identify these edges, she could track which cards were high value, 8s and 9s, just by looking at their backs. But they couldn't touch the cards themselves, so they came up with a brilliant cover: superstition. Ivey requested a Mandarin speaking dealer, claiming it was for his guests' comfort. Then, whenever a high-value card appeared, Sun would ask the dealer, in Mandarin, to rotate it 180 degrees for good luck. The dealer, accustomed to superstitious gamblers, obliged without question. Once those cards were rotated, the deck was edge-sorted. Ivey knew which hands would be strong and which wouldn't. If a high-value card was next, he'd bet the maximum. If it was low value, he'd bet the minimum. But there was one more crucial piece: an automatic shuffler. Unlike a human dealer, an automatic shuffler never rotates the cards. It only mixes their order. That meant, once the deck was sorted, it stayed sorted. The casino had no idea. They thought they were just catering to a high roller's quirks. In reality, they'd destroyed their own house edge. For 9 months, Ivey and Son traveled the world: Atlantic City, Macau, Singapore, London. Everywhere they went, they followed the same routine. Find a desperate casino, play the superstition angle, sort the deck, drain the house. And then, in August 2012, they pulled off their biggest score yet. The fall, Crockfords Casino in London agreed to all of Ivey's requests. Over 2 nights, he and Son won £7.7 million, around $12 million. But when Ivey went to collect his winnings, the casino didn't hand him cash. They handed him a receipt. Crockfords had frozen his payout. They didn't have proof of cheating. The cards were clean, there were no marked decks, no collusion, but something didn't feel right, so they refused to pay. Furious, Ivey sued, but while he fought to claim his winnings, other casinos started investigating. The Borgata in Atlantic City had already paid Ivey $9.6 million. Now they wanted it back. What followed was a 6-year legal battle across 2 continents. Ivey's defense was simple: edge sorting wasn't cheating. The casinos agreed to every condition. They let him pick the dealer, they rotated the cards, they used the automatic shuffler. Now that they'd lost, they wanted to change the rules. But the courts weren't convinced. In 2016, a UK judge ruled that while Ivey wasn't dishonest, his actions constituted cheating under civil law. Later that year, a US federal judge ruled against him in the Borgata case, ordering him to repay the full $9.6 million. By 2019, the Borgata was seizing his assets and garnishing his poker winnings. In July 2020, Ivey and the Borgata finally reached a settlement. The terms were never disclosed. The perfect casino strategy had ended in disaster. For years, Phil Ivey was poker's golden boy. Now, his legacy had a stain. The Aria Casino in Las Vegas renamed their poker room from the Ivey Room to Table 1. Casinos weren't just cutting ties, they were making an example of him. But Ivey never stopped being a gambler. After years in the shadows, he returned to major tournaments, racking up high-stakes victories. Ann Kelly's son, she kept edge sorting, traveling the world, training others. Hollywood even bought her life rights. A movie called The Baccarat Queen went into production. Crockfords shut down permanently in 2023. The Borgata now accounts for nearly half of Atlantic City's gambling revenue. Ivey and Son exploited a flaw so small, the casinos themselves didn't see it coming. They never cheated. They never hacked the game. They simply made the casino beat itself. And when the industry couldn't stop them, it had to rewrite the rules just to keep up. Ivey may have lost the lawsuits, but in the eyes of gamblers everywhere, he'd already won. So, what do you think? Was it genius or cheating? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button for more fascinating tales like this one.